And finally, guys, it now comes to a close. Hello, guys. Welcome. If you've already seen my channel before, welcome back. I'm the Philadelphia Whovian. And yes, right now, we're back to doing that videos I do on the 12th Doctor's Era, where I'm ranking or rating or talking about all the stories from the 12th Doctor's Era from beginning to end. And now we've come to the finale of Series 8 of the 12th Doctor's Era with Dark Water and Death in Heaven. But before I do a video talking about that two-parter, I just want to let you guys know, guess what I got in the mail? Doctor Who, the Space Museum, and the Chase from the First Doctor's Era. So I've got Ian and Barbara's last story and Steve Taylor's first story. Yes, guys, I got it. I got it. After all these years, finally got it. Yes, it's awesome. Okay, guys, so yes. Now we're back to, yes, the ending of Series 8 of the 12th Doctor's Era, where we got the 12th Doctor, played by Peter Capaldi, and his companion, Clara, played by Jenna Coleman. Okay, so, you're about to think you're going to hear the plot of this two-parter? No, you're not. Guys, I'll be very honest with you. I'm going to assume at this point, every single person who has watched, who's watching this video, has seen this two-parter. And if you haven't seen it, don't watch this video. Go into TARDIS Wikia and just get the outline of this, plot line of this story, and then come back to my channel and then watch this video. I'm gonna go straight into talking about what I thought about it instead of talking about the actual, the actual plot. Because guys, I'm gonna assume you've all seen it. I'm just gonna assume you have, because you guys aren't idiots. Why would you click on a video you haven't seen this episode of when it comes to an episode that's this old at this point? Okay, so, two-parter written by the very talented Stephen Moffat. Okay, so now we're at the finale. And guys, I'll be very honest with you, right from the get-go, I did not have high expectations. Because it's a finale. I overall think the finales to almost, when it comes to the new shows, I think finales are very tricky and it's very easy for them to fall apart. And it's even proven in series like, or season 16 of Classic Who with The Key to Time. Finales are not easy. So I admit I went into this not with the highest expectations. So let's start with Dark Water. Okay, first off, the very beginning where we see Clara having post-it notes on things. Maybe I need to see this again, but guys, I admit I don't understand that moment where Clara had the post-it notes on certain books or objects, and she was talking to Danny Pink about how she loved him. But when it comes to those post-it notes and what her whole conversation, I did not understand what that was about. I didn't get it. I thought maybe I was even looking at a flashback, and we would find out later on why she called him about that and talk to him about that. I just didn't understand that moment. So guys, maybe I need to see it again, I admit, because also, letting you guys know right now, this is the first time I ever saw this finale. When it comes to the Peter Capaldi era, I only saw about initially 5 episodes of Series 8 and about maybe 5 episodes of Series 9 and all of Series 10. This was something I did not see. So, at this point, yes, this is the first time I saw it, so maybe there are some things that, I needed to go back again and analyze, but if you guys can tell me what that first moment meant, that would help me a lot. So, then we get Danny Pink dying, and then we see Clara fall into an emotional havoc and, downward spiral after Danny Pink dies. And it felt very real, very natural. It really did. Now let's get to the point that everybody wants to talk about. Clara's betraying the Doctor and having the TARDIS keys. Plus, we all know it's something that actually didn't happen because she was going to drug the Doctor and make him fall asleep and then do this whole situation. But it still was her literally locking the Doctor out of his TARDIS and having him, threatening him to bring Danny back or she'd throw all the TARDIS keys into the lava pit at the volcano. Okay. Now, guys, I'm going to be very honest with you. Yes, I didn't like this moment. But at the same time, here's the thing. Worse things have happened on Doctor Who, and no one said anything before when it comes to characters. What I mean is, okay, I know some people this made you hate Clara, and I understand why it did make you hate Clara. I really do get it. It makes all the sense in the world to me why you did. But here's the thing. For the longest time, people were complaining to Moffat about Clara being too perfect, Clara being too this. So, for me, this was Moffat trying to make Clara into a flawed character the way people wanted her to be. So it feels like this is Moffat trying to make people happy. But here's the problem. Many of the people who were complaining about Clara being too perfect, up until now, are the same people. Some people, they really did want to see a more flawed character. But many people, no. Here's what happened. They never liked Clara to begin with, so they jumped on the Clara bandwagon of people who said that they were sick of Clara being too perfect. And truth is, they hated Clara no matter what was going to happen. So even when Moffat tried to do things to make people happy, they were still going to hate Clara no matter what. So when Clara did this betraying moment, naturally people were going to be pissed off about it even more because they hated Clara to begin with, not because she was too perfect. Some people who hated Clara being too perfect probably did like that moment, but most people, no, probably didn't because they didn't like Clara to begin with. I did, so I did not need this moment. I didn't need to see Clara fall apart like this. But when it comes to this moment of betrayal, okay, guys, sorry, long rant here, so you know what? Liquid courage. That wasn't enough. Now juice. More juice. Okay, I can do this. Guys, the man she loved just died. She was in an emotional state. She was mentally distraught. And she was not in the right headspace, as we humans are going to be sometimes. And she did the wrong thing. She definitely did the wrong thing, but here's the thing about Clara that made me forgive her. She realized after she had done it, she did the wrong thing. And she apologized or she felt bad. When it comes to us making mistakes and failing, it's not always about us failing that's our chief crime. It's failing to realize that we were terrible. Failing to acknowledge it. Failing to see the problem that we did there. That makes us awful. Clara in that moment was emotionally distraught. She was not in the right headspace. She was depressed. She was being human. And she was showing that, hey, you know what, we all have our bad moments, as we all do. So I cannot hate her for that. But also, we get to see how clever the doctor really is in that moment, because it turns out here she thought she was going to drug him. No, he tricked her. She never drugged him. But she was able to see, through the dream state he put her in, he saw all that she was willing to resort to. But he forgave her anyway, to show how deep their friendship is. But he also knew that it came from a place of her just being heartbroken. And guys, when you're heartbroken, you do stupid things. Clara was heartbroken. She did something stupid when she was heartbroken. We've all been there. I've been there. You've been there probably. We all fucked up some way. We have. But also, when it comes to this, I was always fine with Clara being the way she was, being there just to help the doctor, and being drama-free most of the time, like with Series 7. I was fine with that, but people kept attacking Moffat, saying she's too perfect, she's too much of a plot device, she has no flaws, so he doesn't know how to write women. So Moffat was trying to make you happy, but he didn't succeed. I know some people, again, didn't like Clara for other reasons. There you go. But here's my last reason why I just don't hate Clara. Because again, like I said before, I've seen worse things happen in the show and audiences be completely fine with it. What I mean by that is, all the way back down to Series 1, if you were okay with Rose Tyler abandoning Mickey, there you go. But even with Rose Tyler with Father's Day, where, literally, to me, I don't see Clara's moment in this any worse than Rose Tyler and Father's Day. Because again, I said it before, I'll say it again, Rose Tyler, literally, in that very first episode, that one episode, she had a moment where she could have pushed the doctor out of the way when the monster that she created, she's the reason why all this is happening, was coming towards him. She could have run away and tried to sacrifice herself to be there for her friend because she's the reason why he's in this pickle. She doesn't. She does have time. People lie all the time and say she didn't have time. Yes, she did. Rose Tyler watched a monster that she caused being there, come towards her friend, who is only in this situation The doctor I'm talking about. He's only in the situation because she put him in the situation, and she doesn't even go to help him. No. To me, that's the worst. And people were perfectly okay with that. People were also perfectly okay with the Ninth Doctor abandoning Captain Jack in the dickest way I've ever seen in Parting of the Ways, and thinking it was perfectly okay, when it was one of the worst things I've ever seen in my entire life. I was like, I couldn't give a damn about the Ninth Doctor after that one. I really didn't care much about him before that, but that was the seal of the deal. I'm like, when he regenerated, people are like, oh, we love you, Doctor. I was like, you abandoned a man on a ship that was exploding. For all you know, for all we know, what happened if his vortex manipulator had stopped working? What happened if something happened that restrained him or he got knocked out? He's constantly going to be blowing up in space or constantly dying in space after he keeps being revived. This is awful. And it's even worse, we found out the reason why he abandoned Jack was because he was bigoted. Because Captain Jack is now immortal. Disgusting. And then with the 10th Doctor, his very first episode, he complete overthrows Harriet Jones, and then after doing that, Britain is left in complete disarray, and the 10th Doctor, instead of talking to Harriet like a rational person, and saying, Harriet, in the future, here's my phone number. Don't destroy alien ships. Just call me, and I'll come and help you. You did this because you're not sure I'm always going to be here for you. Well, I'm going to start being here for you. And no, he just down throws Harriet Jones, she's overthrown, and then again, Britain is left without a prime minister to protect it. The one woman who's all about protecting Britain, she's gone. The Doctor is directly responsible for that. And Harriet Jones was just making the hard decision that any person would have to make in that situation. She was just doing what was good for her country. And what happens? Oh, Canary Wharf happens. Oh, yes, the 10th Doctor did not stop anything. Everything was still going to go ahead according to plan. You know why? Because just because you bite off the head of a snake doesn't mean 2 more heads grow in its place. It's called a hydra. That's what a government is, Doctor. You should know what the British government's like. Oh my god. Okay, until we can talk about that moment, or when the 10th Doctor literally burned up a sun to say goodbye to Rose Tyler, which is way worse than what Clara did in this situation, because this is burning up an entire sun. The most important star in the galaxy, to say goodbye to your companion, who is constantly bringing Rose up and hurting Martha in many other ways all throughout Series 3, and then sticking her in a racist environment where she was going to undergo racial bigotry and other things because of him, and without him there to help her, she was going to go through all of this trauma, and then, on top of that, having her work a job for 6 months to financially support him, and then, again, going through all this hell just to be there for him. Oh, dear God. And then, on top of all of that, I mean, there were other things. I'm just giving you the skinny with the situations here and there. And then with the 11th Doctor not giving Amy and Rory his phone number to call him so he can tell them how he's progressing with looking for River Song. And the 12th Doctor being a dick and into the Dalek, and being a dick in Mummy of the Orient Express where he's not sensitive to people who are about to die. Guess what? All these characters, and this is just New Who. I can go back to Classic Who all the way back to the Daleks with the Doctor being a dick sometimes. What I mean is, other characters have been dicks and douchebags in every single way and people were okay with it. So I'll make a deal with you. If you don't like Clara, because of this, or you hate Clara because of this, it's cool. But you gotta also call out all those other characters that if you justified any of the characters I'm just talking about, you have to call them out on their nasty behavior, as well as call Clara out on it. Until this time, I'm going to say, you know what? In a bad state of mind, Clara did the wrong thing. But she acknowledged it was the wrong thing, and she moved past it. Now we get, okay, Dark Water. Overall, the plot of Dark Water I really do like. I think it's very creative what Moffat did with the Cybermen in this particular part of the story. Overall, I think it was very, very, very good and very, very, very enjoyable. And the reveal of Missy at the end was really cool. Then we get to Death in Heaven, where, okay, people often say that Moffat, he can't write endings, or he can't finish a story. Honestly, I think it's the same with almost every finale when it comes to New Who. Russell T Davies, his finales, the second parts always had a distinct flaw and mess up or problem in them that never gets addressed. But Death in Heaven, I'm not going to lie, I'm like, half the time, it's like, okay, if you think it's genius, cool. But there were times I was watching, I was like, what the hell? What the hell? Okay, doctor, why would you leave Missy in that room not supervised by you? Honestly, doctor, you know how the master is. You know what's going to happen here. And with Danny Pink and, Lethbridge Stewart saving his niece, etc. and so forth. But the main thing that got to me when it comes to Death in Heaven. Okay, Danny Pink, I understand how Danny Pink comes back as a Cyberman. I get that. Okay, the only thing I didn't like when it comes to Dark Water, though, is the interface of Missy kissing the 12th Doctor. I'm like, that was not needed. That made no sense to me. I don't know why it's there. Okay, but when it comes to Missy, overall, I thought she was amazing, and I think the overall plot, the concept, I think Moffat was being very creative with what he was doing here. The afterlife, okay. When it comes to the afterlife, Moffat, because I did not see this two-parter, ever, until now. And I did a story of Doctor Who being in the afterlife. And Moffat, turns out, had beat me to it. But luckily I did something different enough that it doesn't look like I'm copying Moffat. But Moffat, I love what you did with that idea of the afterlife. And Missy tapping into it. I love what you did there. And how the Cybermen use it for, their whole scheme. I think that was actually very good, Moffat. I give you really good credit with that one. Okay, also with this, when we got the end where we find out that Missy, she was the one that actually gave the phone number to the doctor, to Clara Oswald, in the Bells of St. John, it also shows how good Moffat was of thinking ahead with this. He's been planning this for a long time. That is very good of you, Moffat. Very well done. I like seeing the 11th Doctor in that flashback as well, not because I just love the 11th Doctor, I do, but also it's just something I like seeing, or I think it's a good idea to every now and again bring a flashback of a previous Doctor into the current Doctor's era. It's something I do even with my writing. For example, with the series I wrote, The 11's Continued Adventures, there's one time where the 11th Doctor is on the ship Terminus. And he's a quick moment where he remembers the 5th Doctor when he found Nyssa on Terminus. And I played the whole thing out in the Doctor's memory. And then in another episode, or another story I wrote, with the 11th Doctor, one of the companions is lost, but the 11th Doctor told her where his other incarnation was at the time, and she went to him, and it turned out it was the 3rd Doctor. So we get a quick moment of the 3rd Doctor, but still the 11th Doctor's story. I just like the idea of flashbacks to previous Doctors within a current Doctor's era to help remind people these are the same person. These incarnations are still the same man. But that's me. Okay, also with this story, I think it was a very good way for, if I had not seen Last Christmas already, I would think it was a very good place to end Clara's story. I think it had a natural conclusion to it, but again, I saw Last Christmas, and I'm going to talk about that later on. But with this story overall, when it comes to Missy's plan, what? Like, Missy's whole plan to create this whole Cyberman army and then give it to the Doctor, and like this is your army, Doctor. And I know she's like in her last moment of showing how much, we are similar. Actually, the Master's like doing this whole thing to be like, see, Doctor, we're similar. What? I just don't get it. I'm sorry, I don't explain that to me. I really didn't get that moment. I'm like, this makes no sense to me. Like, this whole thing was orchestrated just to get the Doctor here to give him an army to show how you two are similar. Again, guys, explain to me. Maybe you guys understand it better than I do. Explain it to me and I'll understand. Also, the killing of that one assistant, the one who used to have the scarf, but now in this episode she has the bow tie, that shocked the hell out of me. I was like, whoa, she's dying? What? Oh my god. Moffat, that was shocking, Moffat. Whoa, you're bold, man. Okay, but again, overall, great performances from all the actors. Great performances, great direction. And there's more I could talk about this, but I'm like, why do that? I'll hear your thoughts about it. So guys, this is my review for the two-parter of Series 8, Death in Heaven being the ultimate finale, and the previous episode being Dark Water. Let me know what you guys thought about it. Either way, all the actors, again, gave a great performance. Moffat, you had your good sides to this story, your bad sides, but overall, there's a lot of greatness in this, I do admit. Just a lot of, just some slip-ups every now and again. So guys, tell me, what did you think? Thank you guys so much. You were awesome. Bye, guys.